The rain fell like tears that night, cold and relentless, washing away the chalk hopscotch, squares on the cracked sidewalk where children had played, just hours before. Sarah Mitchell stood at her apartment window, watching a figure huddled beneath the awning of the closed convenience store across the street. The woman wore no coat despite the November chill, just a thin sweater pulled tight around her shoulders, and she held something close to her chest, rocking gently back and forth. Sarah had seen her there before, always in the same spot, always alone. But tonight, something about the way the woman's shoulders shook made Sarah's chest tighten with a pain she couldn't name. Sarah turned away from the window, her own reflection ghosting across the glass. At 32, she had built a comfortable life, a good job at the marketing firm downtown, a one-bedroom apartment with hardwood floors, friends who invited her to wine tastings on Friday nights. She had everything she was supposed to want, and yet she felt hollow, like a beautiful vase with nothing inside. Her therapist called it existential emptiness. Sarah called it Tuesday. But tonight felt different. Tonight, the woman across the street seemed to be calling to something deep within, Sarah's soul, some forgotten part of herself that remembered what it meant to truly see another human being. Without thinking, Sarah grabbed her warmest blanket from the closet, the one her grandmother had crocheted in shades of blue and cream, and her extra winter coat, the puffy one she'd bought on sale and never worn. She pulled on her rain boots and headed down the 3 flights of stairs, her heart pounding with each step. What was she doing? She didn't know this woman. She didn't owe her anything, but her feet kept moving, carrying her out into the rain, across the glistening street, toward the figure beneath the awning. Up close, Sarah could see that the woman was younger than she'd thought. Maybe mid-20s, with hollow cheeks and eyes that had seen too much too soon. And bundled in her arms, wrapped in what looked like a torn beach towel, was a baby. A tiny, sleeping baby with dark lashes resting against pale cheeks. "Hi," Sarah said softly, not wanting to startle them. "I live across the street. I saw you out here in the cold and I thought you might need this." She held out the coat and blanket, feeling suddenly foolish. What could these simple things really do? How could they possibly be enough? The woman looked up at Sarah with eyes so full of pain and exhaustion that Sarah felt it like a physical blow. "Why?" the woman whispered. "Why would you help us?" The question hung in the rain-soaked air between them. Why? Because we're all connected. Because your suffering is my suffering. Because in another life, in another moment, I could be you. But Sarah didn't say any of those things. Instead, she simply answered, "Because you need help, and I can give it." The woman's name was Jessica, and her story spilled out in fragments over the next hour as Sarah convinced her to come up to her apartment out of the cold. Jessica had fled an abusive relationship 3 states away, traveling by bus with nothing but her 3-month-old daughter, Lily, and the clothes on her back. She'd been staying at a shelter, but they had a 3-week limit and her time was up. She'd spent the last 2 nights on the street, too proud to panhandle, too scared to ask for help, terrified that someone would call child services and take her baby away. Sarah made hot tea and heated up leftover soup while Jessica wrapped Lily in the blue and cream blanket. The baby woke up and made small mewing sounds, and Jessica's face transformed with a love so fierce and pure that Sarah felt tears spring to her eyes. "I'm going to get us out of this," Jessica said, more to Lily than to Sarah. "I'm going to find a job, save money, get us a place. I just need a chance." "Just one chance?" Sarah thought about chances. She thought about all the chances she'd been given in her life. Parents who paid for college, a family friend who got her an interview at the marketing firm, a landlord who overlooked her limited credit history when she was fresh out of school. She'd never thought of these things as chances before. She'd thought of them as things she'd earned, things she deserved. But watching Jessica cradle Lily with hands that trembled from exhaustion and malnutrition, Sarah understood that chance was everything and that not everyone got one. "Stay here tonight," Sarah heard herself say. "You and Lily take the bedroom. I'll sleep on the couch." Jessica's eyes widened. We couldn't." "Just for tonight," Sarah said, though already she was thinking about tomorrow and the day after, and what it would take to truly help this woman and her baby get back on their feet. That first night turned into a week. The week turned into 2. Sarah cleared out her closet to make room for Jessica's few belongings and the baby supplies they bought. Together at Target, diapers, and formula and soft onesies. In pastel colors, she called in favors at work, and her manager's sister, who ran a small cafe in the arts district, agreed to interview Jessica for a waitressing position. Sarah's neighbor, Mrs. Chen, a retired teacher who lived alone with 2 cats, offered to watch Lily during Jessica's shifts, free of charge, because that's what community means. But it wasn't easy. Jessica had night terrors, waking up screaming about her ex-boyfriend finding them. She was prickly and defensive, years of survival instinct making it hard for her to trust anyone, even Sarah. They argued about small things, dishes in the sink, the thermostat setting, how to properly fold towels. Sarah's carefully ordered life became chaotic, filled with 2 a.m. feedings and exhausted, tears and the constant hum of worry about whether she was doing the right thing. Her friends didn't understand. "You barely know her," they said. "What if she steals from you? What if she's dangerous?" Even her mother, usually so supportive, expressed concern. "It's wonderful that you want to help, honey. But you have to think about yourself, too. You can't save everyone." Sarah knew they were right, in a way. She couldn't save everyone, but she could save someone. She could save Jessica and Lily, and maybe in saving them, she could save something in herself, too, that hollow feeling, that sense that her life was meant for something more than wine tastings and PowerPoint presentations. 6 weeks after that rainy night, Jessica got the job at the cafe. 2 months after that, with Sarah's help as a co-signer, she found a small studio apartment just 10 blocks away. Sarah helped her move, carrying boxes up 2 flights of stairs while Jessica wore Lily in a carrier against her chest. The apartment was tiny, with a kitchenette barely big enough for 1 person and a bathroom, the size of a closet. But when Jessica stood in the middle of the empty space, tears streaming down her face, Sarah saw it through her eyes, not a cramped studio, but a home, safety, a future. "I don't know how to thank you," Jessica said, her voice breaking. "I don't know if I can ever—" "You don't have to thank me," Sarah interrupted. "You just have to keep going. Keep being a good mom to Lily. Keep building your life. That's all the thanks I need." But that wasn't quite true. The truth was that Jessica had already given Sarah something far more valuable than thanks. She'd given her purpose. She'd given her connection. She'd reminded her what it meant to be human, not just to exist, but to truly live, to reach out across the divides that separate us and say, "I see you. You matter. Your life matters." The months that followed brought more challenges. Jessica's ex-boyfriend tracked her down, and they had to get a restraining order. Sarah went with her to court, sitting in the gallery while Jessica testified with a voice that shook but never broke. Lily got sick with croup, and they spent a terrified night in the emergency room. Jessica's first paycheck was smaller than expected, and Sarah quietly slipped her money for groceries while pretending it was payment for a sweater. Jessica had never borrowed. But there were beautiful moments, too. Lily's first tooth. Jessica's promotion to shift supervisor at the cafe. The Saturday morning they spent at the park, watching Lily crawl through grass for the first time, her face lighting up with wonder at this big green world. Jessica's slow transformation from a frightened, hunted woman into someone who walked with her head up, who smiled at strangers, who dared to dream about community college classes and maybe someday opening her own restaurant. A year after that rainy November night, Sarah and Jessica sat on a bench in that same park, watching Lily toddle after pigeons with more enthusiasm than grace. The little girl's laughter rang out like bells, pure and joyful. "I've been thinking," Jessica said quietly, "about that night. About why you helped us. I asked you why, remember?" Sarah nodded. "You said it was because we needed help and you could give it. But I don't think that's the whole truth." Jessica turned to look at her, and Sarah saw that the hollowness in those eyes had been replaced with something else. Light, hope, life. "I think you helped us because you needed us too. Because you were looking for something even if you didn't know what it was." Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. "Maybe you're right." "I know I'm right," Jessica smiled. And it transformed her face, made her look young and unburdened, the way she should have looked all along. "You gave us a chance at a life, but we gave you one too. We gave you her. Jessica pointed at Lily, who had abandoned the pigeons and was now picking dandelions, clutching the yellow flowers in her chubby fists. And Sarah understood. Her. Not just Lily, not just Jessica, but that part of herself she'd found in helping them. The part that cared more about people than possessions, about connection more than comfort. The part that understood that we're all here together, stumbling through this difficult, beautiful life. And the only thing that really matters is how we treat each other along the way. Yeah, Sarah whispered, watching Lily run back toward them, arms outstretched, dandelions held high like trophies. You gave me her. And when Lily crashed into her legs, Sarah picked her up and spun her around, both of them laughing, while Jessica looked on with joy in her eyes. 3 people who had found each other on a rainy night. 3 people who had needed saving. 3 people who had learned that the greatest gift we can give is not money or shelter or even kindness, but the recognition of our shared humanity. That we are all, every single one of us, worthy of love, worthy of a chance, worthy of being seen. Her.